Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us. We have a great activist out here right now with us. Mondale Robinson. He usually says W. Mondale Robinson is here with us. He is the founder of the Black Male Voter Project. He's also the National Political Director for Democracy for America. He's a political contributor to the Village Celebration. And I know that he also has a podcast that he's going to tell us about. Anyhow, welcome to Politics Done Right, Senor Mondale. How are you doing today?
Peace, brothers. Good to see you outside of the confines of Netroots. So I ain't get to shake hands with you this year because of COVID, but it's good to see you.
Hey, it's great seeing you, man. I tell you, I'm original from Central America, and we're a huggy culture, and this is hard on me. This COVID thing is hard on me, but you know what? Yeah. I'm going to see you. Hopefully, we're going to all be taken care of, that we can see each other in August when we have Netroots 2021. We'll see what happens then. Anyhow, Mondale, how you been?
Man, busy, man. Trying to survive COVID, make sure I'm safe, and also ensure that the politics of Black men are heard and also seen in this country. So yeah, super busy with that. Not to mention the stuff we do at Democracy for America and the podcast Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap.
I'll tell you what, let's go give you a plug for that first. Tell us a little bit about your it's a new podcast, right?
Yeah, I mean, we started it in March of last year. So, we've been going strong, man. It started out as an evening podcast. We did it 2 times a week. And then right in the middle of it, we saw that it was something bigger than and folk were vibing with it. So we took it to a morning podcast. So every morning around 8:30-ish to around 10:30 to 11 o'clock, we're on air on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, just streaming live, man, at the Ben Dixon Network.
You're working with Ben Dixon.
The 2 co-hosts are Ben Dixon and Marcus Farrell.
Great.
Yeah. Ben joined the podcast later.
Excellent. Give us the link that folks can go to pick up that podcast, the website, and so forth.
Yeah, so the easiest way to get the podcast is go to Facebook and go to Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap. Clickbaity Political Thirst Trap, and you can find the podcast. I mean, we have some great visitors. We had Cornel West this past week. We had Nomiki Kuntz. We had we have a ton of people come join the show, man. It's a wonderful conversation. It's a safe space for Black men political thought. So it was formed as a a byproduct of Black Male Voter Project.
Well, excellent. What I'll do is when I get this blog out and this show out, I'll tag you guys directly on the blog as well. Anyhow, tell me a little bit about Black Male Voter Project. Why did you found this this organization?
Because I was in politics for 20 years and I didn't hear any of the white consultants that control democratic or progressive politics speaking in a way that was conducive to increasing Black men's participation in electoral politics. We know that nearly half of the Black men in this country that are already registered to vote, nearly half of the Black men in this country that are already registered to vote have not voted in 6 consecutive elections. Now, that's not a critique of Black men, because we know people turn out to vote because resources are spent on them. And since no one was spending resources to prioritize Black men, it was weird to believe that you were going to increase Black men's participation in electoral politics, especially when you couple the fact that they weren't prioritizing our needs and also the fact that Black men don't have their basic needs met. And if you consider the lessons learned from Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that tells us if a person don't have their basic needs met, they can't think about things that are self-actualization. And the way we play politics in this country, it seems as self-actualization. And so Black men didn't have time to think about voting because no one was talking to them about the fact that politics could really address, if done properly, it could address the fact that we are transitioning in housing, that we are underemployed, that we are, if we are even employed, that we could use politics to address the fact that we are over sentenced or overrepresented in those who are killed by cops or overrepresented in those who are suspended or expelled from school. These are all political issues that weren't being presented to Black men in a real way. The way the politics come to Black men are a very transactional way. 2 months before an election, talking about a candidate prioritizing a personality or talking about a party that didn't really speak to the needs of Black men. So we threw all traditional campaigning out of the window and revamped the way we came up with politics and how we played politics and presented it to Black men in an hope that we can expand the electorate and bring more brothers out to the poll.
I think that is so important. You know, one of the other things that I'd like to, and I'd like you to address this as well. There's a whole lot of, I mean, there were millions of dollars, billions of dollars that was spent in the last election. And what I notice is a whole lot of consultants get these $10,000 contracts, these $15,000 contracts, these $50 million contracts. But somehow, from what I've understood, the different groups that comprise, let's say, the Democratic Party, it's usually not spread out to these different ethnicities, people who can better address within their communities that which will bring people out to vote. Is that part of what the reason that you formed this, to ensure that you can say, this is what I represent, you want this vote, fund this vote?
I mean, so I mean, you're not off. I mean, the Democratic Party on the presidential election last cycle, 2020, spent $1.3 billion, and less than 5% of that went to people of color, not just Black people. Less than 5% went to all people of color. So when you consider that, less than 5% of the consultants of that 1.3 billion went to Black people, when Black people overwhelmingly make up the Democratic base percentage wise. It is absolutely weird. Yeah, I think our reasoning and our the reason we founded Black Male Voter Project has everything to do with the fact that we needed to address our issues in an effort to bring Black men to the poll, to expand the number of brothers that were voting. And we could no longer wait on the Democratic Party and all of its auxiliary, including its candidates, to do the work of engaging us in a way that was one, culturally appropriate, and also one that was effective. So we created Black Male Voter Project not as a benefit to the Democratic Party, but as a benefit for our community, because we know when Black men vote, there are more progressive ideas and candidates elected, and that's beneficial to the entirety of our community. So the need to form Black Male Voter Project has been there. I mean, for 150 years, if you consider that Black men were the first demographic out of after white men with the passage of the 15th Amendment to get the right to vote. But anybody that believes that the 15th Amendment actually gave Black men the right to vote have not been paying attention to American politics. What it actually did was make us the first people to be victims of voter suppression, and it has been consistent if you consider the fact all the ways that white people now try to hinder people from voting, i.e. criminal records, i.e. voter identification, i.e. The closing of polls, i.e. shortening of hours. All of these things negatively affect Black men more than most demographics in this country.
Now,
So we created Black Male Voters Project as a way to inform brothers and to let them know that voting is part of it, but being civically engaged is more important. And we know that once brothers are civically engaged, then voting will become a byproduct of that new mentality.
Now, I understand that you're currently in 13 states: Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Texas, Arkansas, Ohio, Indiana, New York, and New Jersey. Do you intend to make this a 50-state proposition?
Well, we are currently in 17 states now. We're already expanding. We're in Michigan, we're in Wisconsin, Ohio as well. So and Kentucky also. So yeah, we're definitely it's our job to be wherever Black men are. I don't know about 50 states because there's 220 brothers in North Dakota or something.
You can't forget about North Dakota, Mondale.
We can't forget about North Dakota, but I don't think it's effective and efficient to we have a better chance of calling those brothers, asking them if they want to move down south, somewhere where the weather's better. But I mean, we're definitely trying to be in places where Black men exist in a way that that's significant. And if you think about it, It's the missing piece. Our when we started Black Male Voter Project, our goal was to close the gap between Black men and Black women. So the 10% of where Black women vote higher than Black men, that was our goal, to shut that down this year by 5%, and in the future by making it at least even, or even where Black men are voting at a higher percentage, if possible, than sisters, knowing that this is a beneficial to the work that's necessary to bring Black men into the political fold in a way that their issues are seen and their voices are heard.
Now, Stacey Abrams in Georgia was very successful in bringing out people of color and underrepresented people, the works. Did you work with her this cycle in Georgia at all?
I mean, so not directly. We both sit at the C4 table, and so I mean, Fair Fight is her organization, so we both sat on those calls. Her organization and my organization sat on the C4 calls on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a week, and there was information sharing happening, of course. And then also at the end of the cycle, Stacey Abrams' organization sent us a check also. So shout out to Stacey for that. Her seeing our work and saying that this is a work that we need. This is work that she wanted to support. So shout out to the team over at Fair Fight for doing that. But Black Male Voter Project is a unique monster. We reach out to we do the work that most organizations can't. If you consider in Georgia, there's nearly 1 million Black men that are registered to vote, and before 2020. 460,000 of that million had not voted in 6 election cycles, federal election cycles. So that means they didn't vote for Stacey Abrams in 2018. They didn't vote in 2016. They didn't vote for Barack Obama in 2008 or 12. But of those brothers, we turned out 104,000 Black men. So Black men that were registered to vote before 2008 that did not vote for Barack Obama in 2008, 2012, nor did they vote in 2018. They came out to the polls this election cycle, 104,000.
So you can
brothers came to the poll.
You can claim a piece of that action that's actually got the win. That's huge. An extra 100,000 men. That's huge. Now, how do you do it?
Now, you don't go to KFC and ask them for their secret sauce. Come on, brother. No, I'm just joking.
I know.
Yeah. So what we do is we cut down the transactional nature of campaigning. We don't come to brothers 2 months before an election. We actually spend an entire year talking to brothers about their issues. And before we start talking to them, we spend the first part of that year listening. We have these conversations called Brothers Be Voting, where there are no cameras, there are no women, there are no white people. It's just Black men in a room. And we're listening to brothers, and we overpopulate for regular Black men, brothers who are drug dealers, gang members, people who don't vote regularly. And we invite 1 or 2 political people in the room, but not so they can filibuster the conversation, just so they can listen and see how wrong they're getting in politics. And from those conversations, we build out a national platform with the top 3 issues for Black men, and we go around and engage brothers on those issues. And before we get into any political engagement, we ask brothers 5 or 6 questions. Those questions are: what's missing from your community? Who are the leaders in your community? What's necessary to make your community whole? What's necessary to make you whole? And who do you see as a leader individually? So we take those 3 issues and build out a platform talking about those 5 questions, or 5 or 6 questions. And then we engage brothers 5 or 6 times around those issues and also those questions. And after that, we begin what looks like a traditional campaign, where we start talking how politics affect, the issues that they said were important to them, plus with those national issues as well that we identify through our Brothers Be Voting conversations. And from there, we start persuading brothers on how you can make a change, how you can engage these issues, and how voting can change those issues. Not that voting is the only tool that's necessary to get us free, but it's definitely a tool to put in your box to help us get closer to liberation.
You know, Mondale, that is magic. The thing about it is, the thing that you said there, you just listen. You first start listening. You start trying to develop a relationship with them, and not just, I need your vote. It's developing a relationship and seeing what actually will make a difference within that community. That is magic, and that will always work. Now, I want to kind of go on a little sidetrack here. We've been seeing between 2016 and 2020. First of all, in 2016, and then past 2016 to 2020, that black males have supported uh, the likes of Donald Trump in a manner that I find I don't understand. What can you tell me about that?
It's not true.
It's not okay.
So
Explain,
like,
please.
yeah, yeah. So there was an exit poll. This whole, like, the narrative came out like after 2016, because 12% of in 2016, about 12 to 15% of black men voted for Donald Trump. But what people forget is that every election cycle, somewhere between 8 and 15%, 18 and 20%, I'm sorry, 18 and 18% of black people vote Republican. This is not new. Actually, if you look at every Republican nominee for president, Donald Trump did worse than all of them except for Mitt Romney and John McCain, which were two Republican candidates who lost the presidential election. So, and in this election cycle, Donald Trump actually did no better with black men than he did in 2016, which is where black men always fall. The idea that black men are running to Donald Trump is a myth that was passed by one consultants who were saying all throughout the year that, one, there's no motivation for black people to go to the poll, and then secondly, black men are going to vote more for Donald Trump because he was braggadocious or he was rambunctious. And I saw all types of people play into this narrative, from posters to Barack Obama. I even heard Barack Obama say, "Oh, black men like Donald Trump because of rap music, and rap music is appeasing to Donald Trump." But if you look at rap music, this shows that there's a disconnect between Barack Obama and the black men in this country. Because if you look at rap music, before Donald Trump ran for president, there was always songs about Donald Trump and his money. But when he began to run for president, there was a song called F Donald Trump, written by Nipsey Hussle and
Yes.
YG in 2015. And there's not been a positive song in rap music about Donald Trump since then. So the world continues to try to play black men in a certain way, but we continue to show up. And the reason I know this is because not only in Georgia, but in all the states we worked in, we saw black men voting at record numbers in the Democratic primary, even in most cases higher than what they did in 2008 for Barack Obama this election cycle. And to vote in the Democratic primary is to say that you were voting against what Trump stood for. But people just rejected this idea and continue with this bad narrative. I don't know why. I think people get a kick out of kicking black men when we're down or whatever.
Well, actually, that is a common. Let me tell you, that is one of the reasons I do independent media. One of the reasons that I do independent media is because a lot of times a narrative gets placed, whether it starts at Fox News or it starts somewhere else, and then everybody pick up on the same piece. And as opposed to somebody else picking up somebody like, let's go to the Black Male Voter Project and interview these guys who are sitting with these folks and find out what the real story is. Somebody grabs the narrative and take off with it. And to some extent, that's sort of a disrespect that I find in today's politics on all sides. And that is that a lot of times people are asking questions of a consultant that has nothing to do with that community. And they're asking them, what do you think about that? I recently was in a board meeting, and I didn't say anything. I just kind of smiled when I mentioned something about how people of color saw the insurrection that we just had. To people of color, that wasn't nothing strange. To people of color, it was like, we get an opportunity for you to see that people can act the fool, people can be violent, people can be killers, and police officers are
veterans, your neighbors. Exactly.
But when we say that, when black folks or Latinos or other people say that, it's like, oh, you're just saying that. Well, America got to see on national TV, these people ransacked the Capitol, and most of the police did what again, Mr. Robinson?
Stepped aside and let them do it.
Exactly.
Let me just say something to you. I want to go a step further, and I hope I'm not offending you when I say this. It is absolutely true that what we just saw was a ransacking of the Capitol, but what we actually saw was that patriotism in America is synonymous with white supremacy. We saw veterans. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. We saw veterans. We saw police officers. We saw elected officials show up and try to take over and overthrow the government. America is a banana republic, and Donald Trump has a large role to do with it. So we just got to be honest in all of these terms and all of this shenanigans that we keep playing lip service with. It's dangerous because what's happening is America is on display and its whiteness is ravaging this democracy right now. And
I
unless people are willing to address it, we are at a dangerous pressure point in our space.
and that is important to note, because I've said that on my program as well. You have to understand exactly what's going on if you're going to fix the problem. And what's going on is there's a sect in this country, that white sect in this country, that if things don't go the way that they think it should go, they're willing to destroy the country to ensure that it
Absolutely.
does. And I
Absolutely.
don't know why you thought that would offend me, but
Some people don't. I appreciate you doing independent media and doing it right. So I don't know why I thought it would offend you. So yeah.
yeah, I'm just kind of curious. But anyhow, Mondale, when I'm about to close every interview, I asked, what would you have liked me to ask you that I didn't?
That's a good question. I think for me, I like to tell people, what the difference between me doing politics and some of my white friends that do politics, and why I got into politics, right? So, if you would have asked me why I do politics, I would have told you that I didn't start doing politics. Politics started my life, partly because my father, who was the son of a sharecropper, was born on a plantation, meaning he was the son of a sharecropper, and he got a felony conviction for smacking a white boy whose father owned the farm, because the white boy smacked my grandmother and knocked her off the porch.
Wow.
And his punishment was nothing. But for my father, my family had to take him to Virginia and hide him for 2 years so that the Klan wouldn't kill him for hitting a white man. But when he came back, he got a felony conviction. And that limited our lives and what we did. It forced us to grow up in poverty, because it started a cycle that didn't end. The F is the scarlet letter for Black men in this country. And we growing up in Eastern North Carolina, extremely poor, and my dad having a felony conviction. My entire life, I wondered why my dad, this man who could do anything from laying pavement to putting roofs on houses to building houses almost, but we were always poor. It blew my mind. Coupled that with the fact that the white man that was the fire chief of my hometown was the same white man that sprayed my mother with fire hose her entire life for being downtown after dark, only because she was Black. So growing up in North Carolina, even though I'm 41 years old, I got to witness remnants of segregation and Jim Crow in a way that most people thought was over my entire life. And that's why I do politics, and that's why Black Male Voter Project exists.
Mondale, you do it well. Mondale Robinson, founder of Black Male Voter Project, National Political Director for Democracy for America, among many other titles. Thank you so kindly for having been on Politics Done Right. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.